What is your favourite memory of playing for Dromintee?
Right. I was born in 1948 and I first played for Dromintee in 1960, which would have left me 12-year-old at that time. In those days, there was the senior team and there was under 16 and minor. There was no sort of underage, under 8s or 10s or whatever. It was under 16 and minor. And we started at 12-year-old playing for both the under 16s and minors. And the under 16s, I think, were on the Wednesday night. The minors were on the Monday night. So I remember the first game against Silverbridge. And Dromintee seniors had played Silverbridge the previous Sunday. So we were playing them on the Monday night. And a few of the senior players were playing on the minor team. So at 12-year-old, I was playing against 18-year-olds. So it'd be against every rule and every regulation there is now. Then later on, we played for the under 16s. But talking about memories, in those days, when I look around, everybody nowadays has their tops and outfits of all kinds. But in those days, things were totally different. There was possibly 2 footballs in the club, maybe even one at some stage. There was one set of jerseys, a white set of jerseys. Dromintee were known as the Lily Whites, and the senior team played in the same jerseys as the under 16s and the minors. That was the only set of jerseys we had. And if it was a particularly wet Sunday, the jerseys were thrown into the bag at the end of the game, and then on the Monday night they'd be tipped out. I was going to say on the floor, but there was no floor to tip them on. They were tipped out on the field. And if you were a forward, you picked the number of whoever was playing on the senior game, that you were acting as if you were one of the senior players. And the smell of the jersey and it stick to your back and absolutely stinking of sweat was just unbelievable. Like that, if you ask me for a memory, I can still smell what those jerseys smelled like. And then the field, of course, was rented. You know, the club didn't own any pitches at that time, and the pitch was rented by a farmer to the club. And quite often, if we were going to play a match, whenever you arrived there could be 10 or 12 cows, maybe even a bull in the pitch, and we had to get broadmouth shovels and buckets and go around and scoop the cows dung off the pitch before the thing started. The lines that surrounding the pitch, it was a scrape of a single plough. There was a scrape taken right round the pitch, and the outside bit of the scrape was thrown out the ways so that the ball could land in the furrow, and that was deemed to have been over the line. But there was no such thing as white lines or anything like that. It was the scrape. Some of the things that were done in those days, quite often the lack of footballs, you had some unscrupulous clubs who would advocate, if their team was behind, they punctured the ball so that there was only one ball, so that left that there was no ball and the referee had to call the match off. Another thing that happened, I think it was in Cullaville, that somebody swung on the crossbar and broke it because they were behind. So there was a lot of skullduggery went on in those days. The fact that nowadays you have everybody's age and date of birth and everything else is recorded and online and this, that and the other, clubs app. But in those days you had people just said their age, their date of birth, whatever. And we played again, it could have been Cullaville or some of those teams over that way, and we were playing in a minor game, and there was one fella and his father was also playing on the same minor team. So there were sort of all sorts of skullduggery went on. There was another term called ringers, people who were not registered to play for Dromintee, but they came to play for Dromintee. Well, not for Dromintee, because Dromintee were very straight and decent at all times. But some of the clubs played these, what they call ringers, and there were people who came into the club and played under the name of somebody who was a player of the club who wasn't so good at it. so that would have been sort of some of the memories that I would have had of those times. And as we're talking back in the early 60s, and the first real success that Dromintee had was in 1966, and I played in the semi-final and didn't get on the final, but that was really one of the first successes that Dromintee had, the junior championship in 1966.